Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Shamanic and Alchemical Mystery School Global Gathering. We are living in a truly momentous time. We find our lives filled with unexpected changes, new awakenings, and initiations on both a personal and collective level. Especially during times like these, it is of vital importance that all humans have access to receive and remember the ancient teachings about our true power and abilities, which are our birthright, the sacredness of life itself, and the vital support streaming in from the unseen realms to guide and support us on this journey of awakening. Once we remember our own power, it becomes so much easier to choose a new way of life, to break down the systems which are no longer serving us, to rise up with courage and take a stand for the radical new world which we feel imminently arriving. The Shamanic and Alchemical Mystery School is a very special event designed to guide you in connecting with your own profound power within, so you can feel liberated to confidently make the changes you most deeply need and rise into living your fullest life during this unprecedented time on our beautiful planet. I am Jocelyn Starfeather. I'm the founder of Sacred Planet, and I'm your host and the creator of this Mystery School gathering. And today I am delighted to speak with Daniel Scranton. Hi, Daniel. Welcome.
Hi, good to be here.
So great to have you here, as always. It's always such a pleasure to speak with you, Daniel. And
Same.
let me just share a little bit about your work with everybody. So, Daniel Scranton is a verbal channel, spiritual teacher, and sound healer. He has been channeling the 12th dimensional non physical collective known as the Creators since the fall of 2010. Since then, a wide array of other guides and collectives have spoken through him. Some of those include Archangel Michael, Archangel Gabriel, the Pleiadian High Council of Seven, and the Arcturian Council. He also discovered an ability to channel light languages and healing overtones, and he has used this ability to help others heal themselves and manifest the reality that they desire. Daniel works with individuals in one-on-one sessions, does group events, and teaches a variety of classes, including channeling classes. His daily channel messages can be found at danielscranton.com and on his YouTube channel, where you can watch him channel each new transmission. So, Daniel, I would love to hear a little bit about your journey. What brought you to be doing this channeling and the other amazing work that you do? How did you get started on all of this?
Yeah, well, it wasn't long after I woke up spiritually that discovered channeled work. And as soon as I did, I was addicted to it. I felt like it was a drug that I was taking to read Conversations with God. I read all the books that he had published at the time, and somebody pointed out to me that it was channeled, and I hadn't thought about it. I hadn't considered that, but it certainly was. And and then I found the Seth books, and Seth is my favorite of all time, Seth and Jane Roberts. And even though I was addicted to those, somebody was able to convince me to check out Abraham. And the difference between Seth and Abraham is that Jane is no longer channeling because she passed on in 84. And here's a woman who's channeling Abraham and doing it all over the country and the world, really. And I could go and see. So once I discovered Abraham, I became addicted to their work. And I found uh, my first workshop with Esther in Sedona, Arizona, and I was able to talk to Abraham in my very first workshop, and it was amazing. I drove like 8 hours to get there, and then I basically just became the biggest fan ever of Abraham and Esther, and traveled all over the world to cruises and workshops, and then didn't realize at the time that I was basically becoming a channeler myself. Didn't think about it like it was something that was for me, because I seemed like I was more suited to coming up with the questions, and I had the very active mind. But by 2010, I had also become a Reiki, and I had been meditating for over 10 years every day. So I had basically some ways of introducing the whole idea of it to myself, even though, like I said, it wasn't something I wanted. So it just was something that starts happening for a lot of people, where you're meditating or you're doing energy work and then things start happening to you. You start noticing things, and I would notice my hands would move over the client when I was doing Reiki. Like they would just pick up by themselves and start doing a windshield wiper motion over the body. And then I noticed my head doing this Stevie Wonder type infinity symbol. And then I noticed I'm making these whispering sounds like that.
Mm.
And I that was the first moment I said, "Oh my gosh, channeling. Am I going to channel?" And that was January of 2010. Then March of 2010 comes along, and I'm doing Reiki on as many people as I can because I just want to see like how far I can go with this. Um, but in March, I actually became in such a pit of despair in my life the way it was, because I was in physical pain. I was in an emotionally painful marriage because I didn't, it was only emotionally painful because I didn't want to be there anymore. I wanted to be able to um, leave the marriage and, explore relationship with someone who was spiritually more more spiritually inclined than my ex-wife was. She was awake, but she just didn't care about any of the things I cared about, didn't want to talk about it, didn't want to go on any of these trips with me to Abraham workshops. So I just wanted more, and but it was the physical pain at that moment that had me feeling suicidal, and I really just didn't want to be here anymore. And I was crying and saying I didn't want to be here and thinking about how to take myself out and all that stuff. And it wasn't that night, but it was the night after that I had this dream. And in the dream, I turned to a guy I knew from all the Abraham workshops, and he was very much into extraterrestrials, and I wasn't. And I look at him and I go, I understand now about the other beings. And that's the whole dream. Just me and him standing in like a desert. And then I'm all of a sudden getting all this energy. I woke up, so I'm awake for this. All this energy is coming through the crown of my head, and it's just filling my whole body and going all the way down to my feet like a scan. Like it was energy that would move through me from head to toe. And I was like, what does this have to do with that dream? What does this have to do with aliens? And as soon as I thought the word aliens, I got a huge surge of it. And I was asking them for more, one more time, more, please. And then I start talking to them. I'm asking questions because I knew a little bit about ETs. You know, are you just from another dimension? Would I be able to see you? Do you have physical bodies? And all those types of questions. And I can't even remember all the questions and all the answers. All I remember was that the one thing I thought was, are you here to heal me? Because I thought that's why they came, was because of my pain. And the answer was no, because I got no surge of energy. And then when I said, are you here to play with me? Then the answer was yes. And so I basically eventually thought maybe I can see them if I open my eyes. So I opened my eyes. There's nobody in the room. I can't see anything. But the surges continued, like from with the same amount of intensity and power as the beginning, until it stopped. And then when it stopped, I was like, okay, now I'm basically aware that this sort of feeling is possible for me, right? So I'm going to take my meditations even further now. When I'm meditating, it's going to be like I'm meditating with that understanding that I can feel something in my body. And so that's what I did, and I was able to feel more, but I wasn't able to feel that anymore. So I just you know, I didn't really do much with it at that point. It was just like I kept with that practice of trying to feel more, and And then I got to the point where when I'd go deep in meditation, I would dry heave. And dry heaving is like you're throwing up, but nothing's coming out. And so I I was at an Abraham workshop. This is October now of 2010. I'm at an Abraham workshop, and I said to Abraham, "What's going on with me?" Because I started dry heaving in the middle of the workshop. And they said, "Well, you're going to do this thing that Esther does, but you're working through your resistance to it right now. You have to keep at it, and you'll work through it, and then you'll be able to do it." And so that's what I did. I essentially just sat with my ex. I had left that marriage in the middle of all this, and so I finally, did that. And then I I met someone immediately on an Abraham cruise, and she helped me to get the channeling going by practicing with me in the same way you and I are speaking right now on video. And she would just sit there and watch me as I the energy's coming in, and it's making me do all this, and no words are coming out. It's just me going for like 45 minutes to an hour of
Wow.
that
Mhm.
until I eventually did speak. And I spoke for the first time for the creators, and they said, "We are here for you." And that's basically how it all started.
Wow. Amazing. That's quite a story,
Yeah.
that you went through so much
All in 1 year.
all in one year.
It was
Right.
crazy. So
Right.
yeah, like 3 or 4 weeks after Abraham said that to me, and we practiced like 4 times a week, then I was doing it. And then once I started doing it, I was like, well, this is what I want to do now. Because the work I was doing was not fulfilling at all. It was just paying the bills. And I knew always wanted to transition into something, but I didn't know what. And this was the perfect thing. So by the time 2013 rolls around, I'm actually making a living at it and able to support myself and my second wife.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Wow. Yeah, what an amazing story. And I just want to say for everybody listening, if you're going through difficult times, trust and stay with it because that's really what you did. Um,
yeah,
you need to
yeah,
trust the process of whatever we're in because just like the dry heaving that you experienced as one example, like we have so much that we need to release in order to open
yeah.
into the fullness of all that we are. So sometimes those really painful experiences can be that like our soul or our highest self trying to break through.
Yeah, I've been listening to these interviews lately a lot with this beautiful man named Christian Sundberg, who talks about his remembering of his choosing this lifetime that he's in and the challenge that he wanted to face in it. And he said that when he was talking to a person who was obviously a master on the other side, that person was saying, well, the way I became this masterful was by having a lifetime with a lot of physical pain. And it's about the way that you meet the pain that can transform you. And so I still go through bouts of pain today. And I understand now the significance of it, that there's something that we're meant to get from that experience, and not to just mask it, and not to just run to the doctor all the time to get drugs and surgery, but actually to see, like, how can I meet it differently? Because that was the phrasing he uses, that it's how you meet the pain that changes everything for you. And to think that all this guy had to do to become a master was have a lifetime where he experienced a lot of physical pain, and just to to basically transform himself by experiencing it. It just, it's remarkable how we can do that.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. It really is. And are there any practices that you would recommend or things to be aware of on a kind of a more physical level as we kind of begin the conversation here about channeling that can help us be more of that open and clear channel, whether that's nutrition or meditation? What do you recommend for people around that?
Yeah. Well, it's funny because from like 2000, from like 1998 to 2004, I was a hardcore raw fooder and I ate only raw food and only organic food. And then I fell off the wagon for 6 years, over 6 years, and I was eating everything and anything. And then I gradually started eating more healthy. And one of the teachers that uh, sort of convinced me that it was important again was Bashar. Bashar, channeled by Daryl Anka, says, when you have toxins lodged in your cells, they have to be dislodged in order for the nutrients to get to the cells. And that just made so much sense to my logical mind that I said, yeah, I should do a cleanse and maybe that'll help me with my pain. And so I did. And then when I was doing a cleanse, so in 2011, another thing that I heard from Bashar and another channeler I really love, Lisa Royal Holt, one of the beings she channels, says that they're Pleiadians and they only eat fruit juice and algae. And then Bashar said, well, the last thing we ate when we ate was something similar to like orange and beet juice with celery soaked in it. And so I'm thinking like, well, all these beings that graduate to not eating at all, they first go through a phase of being vegan, right? Obviously, those if that's all they're eating, that's vegan diet. So I just said, well, I'm going to go vegetarian um, at the beginning of 2011. So I'd already started channeling, but I'd been channeling for only a few months when I made the decision to go vegetarian. Then I did another cleanse early 2011. And in the cleanse, the guy recommends that you do either all liquid or all raw. And I said, well, I'll do all raw. I know how to do that pretty well. And so once I was going back into the raw foods thing for like a month doing this cleanse, I thought, I like this. I remember this. I enjoy eating this way. And so I've been raw and vegan for over 12 years now straight. And I love it. And I think that my body has to be hydrated. And I know that certain foods are good for making me feel hydrated. And obviously fruits and vegetables, you know, are those foods really. And some fruits are more hydrating than others, and some vegetables are more hydrating than others. So I feel like the body prefers these foods. If you think about, if you take away all of our modern day gadgets and food processing and everything, what do you have? You have the trees and the plants and the ground and everything just giving us the food that is the way we basically can live off of, and if you think about animals, they're running away from us when we're trying to get them for their meat or whatever. But the fruit in the tree is showing up colorful and bright so that we'll see it. And so it's like at arm's length, so you'll pick it. It just makes so much sense. And I I do think at a certain point that everyone gets attracted to eating lighter and lighter fare. Everybody will stop wanting heavy foods. Like I think um, looking at a hamburger, because I don't mind if people eat it in front of me. I went out with my in-laws last night to a sushi place, and the table's covered with meat, fish basically, and I don't care. It's not like I'm a militant vegan, but I do think that like if I ate meat or a hamburger or a piece of pizza, as yummy as it looks and as good as it would feel in my mouth, once it would be in my body, it would feel like a brick. And I just know that from experience. I know that from having having done something like that after not eating that way for a while, is that that's how it feels in the body.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. It's then it's like, wait, why did I do this?
Yeah. And then I can't, and then I
Right.
don't feel like eating anything for like 12 hours or
Yeah.
24 hours if I ate something like that. Yeah. In my last time that I did it, that's what it felt like. Yeah.
Yeah. And do you think that daily meditation is really important? It sounds like that's been your practice for a long time.
I think it's the most important thing because there's so many things that we need. We get through meditation. You know, we need to be present. We need to be grounded. We need to be aware of what we're thinking and feeling. And meditation is going to make us all of those things. It's going to make us more heart centered. It's going to calm us down. You know, you if you're facing a tough situation in your life, all you have to do is go and meditate and then look at it again after meditating and realize the only thing that changed was you basically changed your vibration in meditation. So I think that the best time to meditate is first thing in the morning. You know, get your day started off on the right foot, get in your body. Don't reach for your phone as soon as you wake up. Just go right in, unless your phone has a nice meditation on it or something you like to listen to while you meditate. You know, then you can use it in that way. And yeah, it all it takes is 15 minutes. You know, if you have to wake up 15 minutes earlier and do it, you'll probably feel more energized throughout the day than if you had that extra 15 minutes of sleep.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I've been noticing a big difference if I don't meditate one day. By about 4 p.m., I'm just feeling like so stressed and
Yeah,
myself. Whereas if I meditate, I'm good. Like it really shifts your energy for the whole day. It's
yeah.
yeah, yeah. Well, so you are a channeler and also you teach others to channel. So what has been your experience with that? Because I feel that so many people right now are feeling these remembrances of our true abilities, and maybe feeling that channeling coming through or feeling the magic or our
Hmm.
power coming through in different ways, but it can be a little scary, or we don't know if we're really going to be able to do that, as you went through on your journey too, of course, of like going between, can I do this? Is this should I be
Yeah.
connecting it? So what do you find? Can most people channel? Can everybody channel? What have you discovered?
Yeah. And not only that, but it would be really accurate to say that everyone already is channeling because thoughts don't originate inside the head. Like we still tend to think that the brain is where these thoughts originate from, but the brain is a receiver. It's like a radio that is set to a certain frequency, and that frequency determines what types of thoughts are available to it. So the thoughts are all around us all the time, streams of thoughts, thought forms. And so everyone already is channeling. It's just a question of, can a person raise their vibration enough to change the setting on the dial so that they're getting something that's of a higher vibration? And the answer is yes, always. So everyone can do it. My experience is that in teaching the classes that I teach, people are doing it. They're breaking through. They're seeing things a lot first, or they're speaking light language or something like that. But eventually, if a person sticks with it, like if a person has the types of experiences that I was having and they get scared by those experiences, they can suppress the the ability, or the messages. But if you really go with it and you say, okay, I'm going to sit to do this once a day, and I'm just going to see what comes, just going to see what comes to me and what I can get from it, then they absolutely will. And I'd say I'd say a large percentage of people, I don't know the exact numbers, but a large percentage of people that I work with do end up channeling, and they do come, a lot of them, either already having started to channel or being well on their way to it, so that by the time that they've taken a class or a course with me, it's just the thing that just pushes them right over the edge. A lot of the things that I do for people too is just sort of like normalize a lot of their experiences and tell them, like, look, it may seem like channeling is this, but really it's that. It's not about getting all the answers. It's more about, if you look at all the really really powerful, most well-known channelers, they're all just teaching. They're teaching us how to live. They're teaching us how to be in the world, how to follow our joy and manifest our dreams, and also be the best version of ourselves for the rest of the collective and for our partners and families and everything. And they're not telling us what to do, and they're not telling us what's going to happen, and they're not telling us the answers to all the questions we have about winning the lottery, and like who's our soulmate, and like where am I supposed to live. Like, that's not really what they're for. But I think a lot of people get into channeling because channeling now is so widespread that there is a lot of different ideas being put out there by different channelers about some sort of big event that's going to happen on this date, or what's going on with the Pleiadians and the reptilians and the in the far reaches of the galaxy, and what Nibiru is doing, and all these things that like don't really help anyone with their lives and the things that we face that are really important to us. So that can be what people assume channeling is. In fact, I heard an Eckhart Tolle video where somebody asked him about channeling, and that was exactly what he said. He said, "Well, whenever I see anything channeled on YouTube, it's always like the Galactic Federation or Ashtar Command, like basically warning us about something." It's like so not positive and not useful at all. So that's why I think to remove all of that sort of stigma and nonsense that's out there too for people, and help them realize, like, no, these entities are going to come and they're going to support you, and they're going to be encouraging you to be more of yourself, and to to share the messages. Because the other thing about channeling, which I should not leave out of this conversation, is that it's primarily about the energy that you bring through, and not about the message as much. Because if you're like me and you go to hundreds of hours of Abraham workshops, you realize their message doesn't change, but you're sitting in the energy that she's bringing through the whole time. You're It's like being in the presence of a guru, because you're just bathed in this high frequency energy, and it really does have a wonderful effect on the receiver of it, because then you're in a higher vibration and you're more likely to get your own answers. So the thing you wanted to know most about, maybe the channeler didn't bring it through for you, but you got it anyway from within, because you were shifted by being in the space.
Right. Yeah, that's an interesting thing to think about too, because we, with our human minds, we like to put words to things, right? And we like
Mm-hmm.
to put,
Mm-hmm.
logic and reason and all these things, but maybe it's really ultimately meant to be more of an energy transmission
Yeah,
that
and that's what I think everyone needs to be seeking out, is their own experience, and not just to be a follower, not just to listen to what somebody else says, um and think that they have the ultimate truth, and I'm just here to, because that's the way I was. I was thinking, like, I don't have any answers. I'm just here to ask Abraham questions to get answers. But then you find out, oh no, you're really getting attuned during all these times you're witnessing channeling.
yeah, yes. And would you agree that that is a benefit that we receive by, if we practice channeling, we're putting ourselves in that high frequency state more and more often, so that has to have healing benefits and mental and emotional benefits and.
Absolutely. Yep. I don't know where I would be if I wasn't channeling. I'd still have to meditate a lot throughout the day. Like I was meditating back in 2010, like probably an hour a day at least. And then once I had the big download in March, I probably upped it to 2 hours. Um, but I need that energy to keep me going, because this life is, pretty challenging in all the different ways that it can be, and all the different things we've got to juggle, and relationships and health and finances. I mean, those are the big three that everybody has enormous challenges with. And so to be able to use it to transform yourself and to become a higher frequency being, that's enough. That's enough of a use of channeling, because like I said, you're gonna channel anyway. Whatever it is you're doing throughout your day, wherever you're working, doesn't matter. You're gonna be channeling something, because you may have noticed, like, you might have been thinking thoughts in a certain place in your house about a fight you've had with someone or something, your taxes or whatever is troubling you. And then you go back to that place and those thoughts are waiting for you there. So then you don't realize it maybe right away, but eventually you go, oh, I just keep thinking about the same thing whenever I'm in this place in my house. That must mean that the thought forms are still here, that I left here the last time. So you always want to leave, every time you think about something or someone, you want to leave it in a better feeling place than when you started thinking about it. Otherwise, you will pick up right where you left off at some point.
Yeah, that's so interesting about the thought forms being like kind of stuck in that place in the house or
Yeah.
yeah, good reason to sage more.
Yeah, you don't have to think like, oh, I've got entities to benefit from a good saging, because there's plenty of energy that gets left behind whenever there's conflict, or, stress or worry or something
Mm,
that's present. So, yeah.
absolutely. So you're also trained in Reiki. You're a Reiki master as well. So
Hmm.
do you teach people to heal? And what's important for us to know about that part of the journey?
Well, it would be nice if more people wanted me to do healings, because I like it. I have a few clients who come to me for that, but what I do now is more of my own creation. So I studied Reiki, and I got the attunements, but really, I just I just think it's so important that we allow whatever form the healing is going to take, to just emerge from us, rather than following anyone's strict protocols of what you're supposed to do and how you're supposed to do it. Because my Reiki 1 teacher was telling me the most important thing is where you're placing your hands on the person's body, and for how many minutes, and that was it. That was like the everything I remember from her teaching me. And I just realized, when I'd see my hands go up by themselves and start doing this over the person's body, I realized, like, well, it's not me doing it, so there must be someone told me, oh, you're clearing the energy from their field when you're doing the windshield wiper motion. And I thought, oh, that makes perfect sense. But what I've basically done is I've noticed that I tone a lot when I connect. When I'm feeling connected, the tones are channeled through me. When I'm feeling like I'm opening myself up to higher frequency energies, light language just comes through me. So I also think that, like, in addition to having the ability to tap into healing energy that we all have, which is no different really from channeling. You're just not speaking any words for it. But you go to a good healer and they're going to tell you some things after the session that they were receiving. So I basically combine sound healing through my voice with light language healing and energy healing that comes out of my hands whenever I do a healing. And I don't really teach that, although I have taught a course on in what I call intuitive healing. But it's, I'm much more well known for the channeling thing, so that's what people come to me for.
Yeah, that's what the universe has made you
It,
known for at this point in time, right?
yeah.
Yeah. And you mentioned light language being a part of this too. So what is light language and how is that connected in with channeling?
Well, it can be a good stepping stone for people who, before they can channel in English or whatever their native tongue is, they're able to bring through this light language. And the advantage, everyone's light language is a little bit different from everyone else's, which is also true of everyone's channeling. It's always going to be unique to the channeler because it's always going to come through their unique vessel that has all the various filters and translation devices in it that we all have. So the light that's channeled in light language is universal. It's available to everyone, but the way it's expressed will be different by each light language speaker. So it's basically the same thing as speaking in tongues. It's like the person just allows that light that they're tapped into to be expressed through them, and it can sound very sing-songy. It can sound very much like a language that's spoken here, similar sounding in some ways to languages that we have here, but none of it is really meant to be translated into English. It's just meant to be an activation for the person who's hearing it, and to give that person whatever they need. Um, it's I find a lot of people are speaking light language these days who are on their way to becoming channelers, and it is a form of channeling. So they're already channeling when they're doing it, but it can be a way to help build up confidence in a person and open up the throat chakra so that they can allow their language to come through themselves.
Okay. Yeah. That makes sense. I know people who write light language too, like they're receiving it, but they're drawing these really, really cool squiggly lines and
Yeah, it's got
shapes.
codes in it, so they're able to interpret those codes and then put them down on paper.
Mhm.
I think that's what's happening there. So it's embedded with all kinds of stuff that goes beyond the mind's capacity to understand, like sacred geometry and probably, platonic solids and all kinds of stuff just woven into the sounds that are coming through.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm wondering if I'm just curious, like, have there been channeled messages that came through for you that like really surprised you? Is there anything that stands out in your memory as like something that seemed completely shocking or out of the blue, or like you just never expected that was gonna appear?
Yeah, like most of them, because I never know what I'm going to channel, and so when it comes through, well, here's an example. So in my channeling courses that I teach, there's a part in the class, every class, where I lead the class into the channeling state, and I give them about 10 minutes to channel by themselves. So I'm on a Zoom when I'm teaching, and I'll just mute myself at that time, and then I'll just start channeling too, just for fun, because it's better than just sitting there and waiting for everybody else's 10 minutes to be up. So I started bringing through the collective of ascended masters who are referring to themselves as thymus. And they came through a couple of times, maybe 3 times in the classes before I said, okay, I think I should maybe start channeling them for the daily messages I put out. And I did. And then I'm in subsequent classes, now I've channeled the ancient ones who are saying they're the ones who seeded planet Earth, the ETs who made this place what it is. I channeled the quark consciousness, which I had to Google afterwards to make sure that it was what I thought it was. And they are these subatomic particles, quarks.
Oh,
And
that's
so I've channeled them a couple of times now, and that really shocked me because that's not like it's not like I'm looking to channel any of these beings. They're just coming through and surprising me with their presence. But I mean, once I start getting into channeling the quarks, it will be interesting to see what they have to say.
yeah, that is really interesting. And that because we like all matter would have quarks in it, right?
Yeah, so they're building blocks, and I
Yeah.
think that their their messages so far have been like you need to. Oh, and then synchronistically, a client of mine within 7 days of the first channeling of the quarks in a session says she's a healer, and she says she asked like, what do I have to do to be able to get my really take my healing to practice to the next level for my clients. And what she heard was, you got to start working with the quarks.
Oh, wow.
And I got full goosebumps when she said that. And I just was like, I blown away by that. So that's the sort of thing that happens now
Yeah.
with with the with the
Mm.
synchronicities. It's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that about the quarks. It's so interesting because we think of these like higher dimensional or master teacher beings, but that like
Yeah.
particles within ourselves are going to be speaking. That's pretty amazing. Makes total
Yeah,
sense.
and yeah, another message I've heard from someone recently. I can't remember if it's Paul Selig. I think it's Paul Selig, another channeler I really like, saying his guides are saying that we have to start seeing everything as God, you know.
Mhm.
And so the physical is not separate from God. I mean, that's something we need to understand for a variety of reasons, but to treat everything as sacred, everything as holy, and being comprised of source. It's not like the goal is to just get out of here. It's like the goal is to see this realm too, and even the ego, and even all the stuff that we're not proud of, as all being a part of God, and for that purpose of the expansion of source's consciousness.
Yeah. Right. Right. It's like the more that we can embrace it and be a part of it, then the more we can connect in with all the levels, all the realms. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's
yeah.
like I love how many ways the life here that we live sort of mimics the way things are, as above, so below kind of thing. And it's like when an acting coach will tell the actor who's having some sort of experience, use it, use it in your performance. And that's basically, I think, what we're meant to do with our entire lives is use everything to go to that next level, to grow in the way that we're meant to.
Yeah, it's our curriculum, right? We're
Yeah.
having these experiences for a really important reason.
Yeah, yeah. And it's hard to look at someone else's sometimes and make sense of it for us, but we're not meant to understand everything. We're just meant to love everything.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, it's really beautiful.
Yeah.
Yes. Wow. Thank you so much for all that you have shared here. And I know you mentioned when we were talking before the recording that you have a course that's coming out on channeling. So would you like to say a few words about that and when it's starting? And is there still a chance for people to join at this point?
Yeah, yeah. We also discovered that it will start about 6 days or so before your summit starts. But it's November 28th, and it lasts for 8 months. It's 9 classes going from November to, I guess, August of 2024. And the reason it's that long is because I like to give everyone a month to practice what you get in the 2 hour class that we have, so that in the next class you're ready to move on to something else, or your your channeling has gone to the next level and you're able to ask me different questions about it. Um, so basically, it's there are 9 2 hour classes on Zoom, so it's an 18-hour course altogether. I set up a private Facebook group for the members. If they want to join that, they can, so they can practice together and communicate with each other about getting, an appointment with one another to practice. But I take people through how to channel their. So the first one's an intro to channeling class, and the next one's toning, and the next one's light language, and then it's channeling your higher self, your guides, archangels, ascended masters, fairies, and then ETs. That's the 9 classes as they go. And like I said, in the second half of each of the 2 hour classes, it's all about me guiding them into the channeling state and giving them the opportunity to channel, and then processing it together. So if there's any comments, questions, things people want to know about what they just experienced, then we have time to talk about it too in
Yeah,
those
it's great. It's
second
amazing to
hours.
have the community support around that too, so nobody's feeling
Yeah.
isolated, alone in what they're experiencing.
Yeah, and if people join, they don't like Facebook for whatever reason, which I totally understand, then they can always like reach out to me and say, "Will you contact so and so in the class and see if they want to be my channeling buddy?"
Yeah, yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Wonderful. And so we'll include the link below this video if people want to check that class out.
Yeah, and
And
we'll give your viewers a discount code too, which is STAR and STAR, and then that get them $100 off the cost of the course, which is
amazing.
normally 488. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Thank you for sharing that. And will this
Yeah.
interview will be coming out during the week of December 4th, so everybody
So
can
if
see.
they miss the first one, you get the recordings of it and you listen to the recordings to catch up. And like I said, the next one will probably be kind of December 20 something, or something, or about a month after the first one. So
Okay,
yeah,
fantastic. Yeah, thank you so much for that special offer for everybody attending here too. That's wonderful.
yeah, my
Yes.
pleasure.
Yeah. And you have a free gift for us too, Archangel Michael's grounding meditation. So that
Hmm.
link will be right below this video as well. Do you want to say a few words about that free gift too?
Right. I channeled Archangel Michael for that grounding meditation. Uh, Archangel Michael's a collective consciousness that I started channeling around 2013 or 2014. And it feels like they're always with me. That the like I channel sometimes without even trying, and that's usually Archangel Michael. I think of Archangel Michael more as a collective than as a dude. So that's why I say they, and they always use the collective pronouns too. um and grounding is so important, and being in our bodies is so important in order to feel everything we need to feel. So the grounding meditation is a good way to start your day. And I had a friend of mine who's a musician make the music for it specifically. So it's not just music I found on Audio Jungle or one of those get your royalty free music here sites. It's real like beautiful new age music that it's set to. So
Amazing.
yeah,
Okay. So yes, everybody go ahead and scroll down just below this video and you'll find the link to that free gift, that grounding meditation with Archangel Michael, and also a link to the course, the channeling course from Daniel, if you'd like to check
yeah.
that out. So, wow. Well, wonderful. It's just always such a pleasure to speak with you, Daniel. Thank you for your,
Same here, Jocelyn.
yeah,
My
much love.
pleasure. Much love.